Some gemstones were ignored for years, not because they lacked color or brilliance, but because the world misjudged what it was seeing. Now experts are tracking a quiet shift, a moment when forgotten stones begin to rise. In the next decade, 10 overlooked gems are expected to surge, driven not by hype, but by rarity, disappearing sources, and discoveries most people haven't heard yet. One glows with a color once reserved for royalty. One bends light in ways science can barely explain. And the stone ranked number one is something millions have held in their hands without ever realizing its real worth. These aren't just undervalued gems. They are silent climbers, and their story is only now beginning to surface. Don't forget to press and hold that like button, leave a comment, and hit subscribe before we begin. Ranked 10th, Iolite, the stone that refused to stay ordinary. For generations, Iolite lived quietly in the shadow of more famous blue gemstones. While sapphire earned global admiration and tanzanite captured headlines, Iolite remained an overlooked presence in the mineral world, respected by experts yet rarely recognized by the wider market. But the qualities hidden within this stone reveal a story far more compelling than its modest reputation suggests. Iolite's deep, shifting blue has long been associated with ancient navigation. Viking travelers once used thin slices of this mineral as a natural polarizing filter, helping them locate the position of the sun even through dense northern clouds. This unusual optical behavior still fascinates gemologists today. Unlike many bluestones, Iolite carries a powerful pleochroism. From one angle, the gem shows a rich violet blue, from another, a grayish tone, and from a third direction, a warm honey color. This trio of hues exists naturally inside every well-cut piece, giving Iolite a complexity rarely found in stones within its price range. Modern consumers, particularly in the US, are only beginning to rediscover these qualities. Jewelry collectors who seek character over brand names often describe Iolite as a thinking person's blue gemstone, a gem chosen not for hype, but for its depth, history, and visual intelligence. This shift in taste aligns with the broader trend of quiet luxury, where understated authenticity is valued more than prestige. Yet despite its beauty and legacy, Iolite remains significantly undervalued. Much of this comes from outdated misconceptions. Earlier deposits produced stones with inconsistent clarity, causing some buyers to view Iolite as fragile or unpredictable. But contemporary sources, especially material from India, Sri Lanka, and Madagascar, have brought forward cleaner crystals, better transparency, and more stable supply. With refined cutting standards, the gem now performs brilliantly in jewelry, with durability comparable to many mid-range colored stones. Experts watching long-term value trends point out that Iolite's market position mirrors early-stage tanzanite, a gem with strong color identity, a unique scientific story, and cultural relevance that had not yet translated into price appreciation. The growing interest in Viking history within Western media adds another layer of traction, making the stone's ancient navigational background more appealing than ever. As sustainable mining practices become a priority, Iolite also holds an advantage. Many deposits occur in regions with community-driven extraction, giving the gem a transparent supply chain. Taken together, Iolite carries all the indicators of a gemstone poised for long-term recognition: strong narrative, distinctive optical behavior, improving quality, and an emerging collector base. While still priced far below its potential, the stone's trajectory suggests that its undervalued status may not last much longer. For those who understand both its history and its science, Iolite represents a rare opportunity, one of the few remaining blue gems with room to grow. Ranked 9th, Andalusite. The multicolored secret the market still hasn't understood. Among the vast landscape of natural gemstones, Andalusite stands as one of the most misunderstood. Its extraordinary optical behavior has impressed mineralogists for decades, yet its value in the commercial market remains surprisingly low. This contrast between expert admiration and public indifference makes Andalusite a standout case of a gemstone whose true worth has yet to be recognized. What sets Andalusite apart is its remarkable pleochroism, an optical effect far more dramatic than what appears in most well-known gems. When rotated under light, the stone reveals distinctly different colors: warm olive greens, soft bronzes, and flashes of burnt sienna. Unlike iolite, which shifts within a narrow range of blues, Andalusite displays a complex earthy palette that feels almost handcrafted by nature itself. Each stone carries what gem cutters often call a natural mosaic, tones that change with every movement, giving it an animated, living quality. This phenomenon originates from Andalusite's highly directional crystal structure. When properly oriented during cutting, the stone reveals multiple color bands simultaneously, creating patterns that jewelry designers describe as painterly or autumn-like. Few gems offer such an organic, visual experience, and even fewer maintain it without treatment. Andalusite is almost always untreated, preserving the authenticity appreciated by serious collectors. Despite its uniqueness, the stone remains undervalued for reasons rooted in outdated market assumptions. Historically, Andalusite was overshadowed by its better-known polymorphs, Kyanite and Sillimanite. While all three share the same chemical formula, only Andalusite consistently offers strong durability and stable color. Early supply came from deposits where clarity varied widely, leading some buyers to dismiss it as inconsistent. Yet modern mining sources, particularly from Brazil and Sri Lanka, produce far cleaner crystals, giving the gem a level of transparency once considered rare. Andalusite, with its subtle earthy tones, belongs to a more mature visual category, the kind of color palette found in fine art rather than mainstream fashion. As taste shifts toward natural aesthetics and sustainable design, experts expect Andalusite to gain traction. There is also a growing movement in high-end jewelry, valuing organic tones over artificial brilliance. Designers working in the quiet luxury space increasingly turn to stones that feel grounded, material that speaks of landscapes, wilderness, and the natural passage of time. Andalusite fits this movement with precision. Its colors evoke forests, late afternoon sunlight, and the changing seasons. This emotional resonance is becoming a powerful driver in gemstone appreciation, especially for collectors who prefer narrative depth over market hype. With better cutting standards, improved supply, and a shifting aesthetic landscape, Andalusite shows every sign of rising in relevance over the next decade. What was once overlooked is now being reevaluated by experts who see in it a rare blend of geological complexity, natural beauty, and untapped market potential. If current trends continue, Andalusite may soon transition from an underappreciated mineral to one of the most distinctive gems in the mid-range collector world. Ranked 8th, Neon Apatite, the electric blue gem, still waiting for its moment. In the world of colored gemstones, few materials create immediate visual impact the way neon apatite does. Its vibrant, electric blue hue, often compared to the glow of tropical waters under strong sunlight, stands out in any gemstone tray. Yet despite this unmistakable beauty, neon apatite remains one of the least understood stones in the commercial market, and one of the most undervalued. The striking appearance of neon apatite is largely due to trace amounts of rare earth elements within its crystal structure, which produce an intensity of color rarely seen in gems within its price category. The shade often resembles Paraiba tourmaline, a gemstone celebrated for its neon glow and priced exponentially higher. This visual similarity has led many experts to describe neon apatite as a hidden cousin of Paraiba, a gem that delivers the same shock of color without the staggering cost. However, its low price has little to do with beauty and almost everything to do with market perception. Historically, apatite as a mineral has been associated more with geology classrooms than jewelry cases. The name itself comes from the Greek word meaning to deceive, due to the stone's tendency to resemble other minerals. This linguistic legacy created an unfortunate psychological barrier. Many buyers simply never considered apatite a serious gemstone, but the past decade has changed the way collectors evaluate color. As global jewelry trends shift toward pieces that emphasize individuality and bold expression, neon apatite's electric tones are gaining attention. Gem cutters who specialize in transparency and luster enhancement have helped elevate the stone further, discovering that precision faceting can produce an internal glow rivaling far more expensive gems. Durability has also improved in perception. While apatite sits lower on the hardness scale, modern setting techniques, particularly protective bezel mounts, enable the stone to be worn safely in pendants and earrings. As jewelry designers adapt, more consumers encounter neon apatite in high-quality pieces, reducing misconceptions and increasing desirability. What makes neon apatite particularly poised for future appreciation is the combination of limited high-quality supply and increasing exposure. The finest neon blue material typically comes from deposits in Madagascar and Brazil, with production fluctuating over the years. As collectors begin differentiating between mediocre apatite and true neon blue crystals, demand for top-grade pieces is rising. Experts monitoring long-term patterns note a consistent rule. Any gemstone offering intense, natural color with restricted high-end supply eventually experiences a significant market correction. Culturally, the American preference for clean, vivid blues remains strong. Neon apatite's unusual saturation makes it instantly memorable, offering something that feels modern yet still natural. An ideal combination for a gem entering a phase of rediscovery. With a growing collector base, improving craftsmanship, and a visual impact impossible to ignore, neon apatite appears positioned for one of the most compelling value rises in the colored gemstone world over the next decade. What was once dismissed as a scientific curiosity may soon become one of the most sought-after blue gems in the mid-tier market. Ranked 7th. Kyanite, the sapphire-like gem that market still overlooks. For most of its history, kyanite existed on the periphery of the gemstone world, a mineral admired by geologists but rarely considered suitable for fine jewelry. Its presence in metamorphic terrains, often alongside garnet and mica, gave it a rugged industrial reputation. Yet within select pockets of the earth, far from the material known in mineral collections, lies a form of kyanite so radiant and so unexpectedly durable that experts increasingly regard it as one of the most undervalued blue gemstones available today. Gem-quality kyanite displays a saturated blue reminiscent of fine sapphire. In its best forms, the hue is deep and velvety, shifting between royal blue and cool indigo, depending on the cut and lighting. When properly oriented, the stone reveals long, parallel crystal fibers that interact with light in a way that creates an almost liquid appearance, something sapphire rarely achieves at comparable price levels. This fluidity of color and texture sets kyanite apart not as an imitation, but as a blue gemstone with a personality entirely its own. The reason gem-quality kyanite remains misunderstood stems from the mineral's natural variability. Standard-grade kyanite is known for having uneven hardness along different crystallographic directions, making it challenging to cut or set. This reputation, formed decades ago, created a widespread belief that all kyanite was too fragile for jewelry. What many buyers still do not realize is that high-grade kyanite, sourced primarily from Nepal, Brazil, and India, possesses clarity, consistency, and structural integrity that far exceed earlier material. Advances in faceting techniques have also transformed the way lapidaries approach this gemstone. By cutting along axes that maximize stability, modern gem cutters produce kyanite that is safe for pendants, earrings, and even occasional wear rings. The resulting stones often display a brightness that rivals mid-range sapphire at a fraction of the investment. What makes kyanite particularly compelling for the next decade is the convergence of three long-term trends: rising sapphire prices, which push collectors toward alternatives, renewed interest in untreated natural color gems, and the growing appeal of lesser-known stones with authentic geological character. In all three categories, kyanite stands out. It is almost always untreated, its color is naturally vibrant, and its origins are tied to some of the most dramatic geological processes on Earth. High-pressure metamorphism within ancient mountain belts. Kyanite's narrative, once dismissed, now rediscovered, fits this shift perfectly. Dealers who specialize in colored stones report that high-quality pieces are no longer as easy to find as they once were, suggesting that supply may tighten just as demand begins to rise. As collectors and designers turn toward gemstones that express depth, natural beauty, and a sense of place, kyanite is positioned to move from obscurity to prominence. With sapphire-like color, improved durability, and a unique geological identity, Gem-quality kyanite stands on the edge of a significant revaluation, one of the quietest, yet most promising blue gemstones of the coming decade. Ranked 6th, Sphene, Titanite, the high-fire gem still waiting for recognition. Among all underrated gemstones, few possess a visual phenomenon as dramatic as Sphene, also known in mineralogical circles as Titanite. Despite its modest presence in mainstream jewelry, Sphene exhibits brilliance in dispersion so intense that many gemologists consider it second only to diamond, and in certain lighting conditions, even superior. Yet this exceptional optical performance remains one of the best-kept secrets in the colored gemstone world. Sphene's signature feature is its extraordinary fire, the ability to break light into vivid flashes of red, green, blue, and gold. This prismatic display is caused by its high dispersion rate, which surpasses that of diamond and most other refractive gems. When cut well, especially in brilliant or mixed cuts, Sphene seems to ignite from within. Collectors sometimes describe it as living light trapped inside a gem, a quality rarely found in stones that remain so affordable. Despite such qualities, Sphene has long been undervalued due to practical misunderstandings rather than true limitations. Early material, especially from deposits in the Alps and Russia, often contained inclusions or structural inconsistencies that discouraged jewelers. Its softness relative to high-wear stones also created caution. Yet these concerns overlook several important realities. Modern Sphene sources, particularly from Madagascar, Sri Lanka, and Pakistan, produce crystals with significantly better clarity, consistent color, and improved cutting potential. In addition, its durability is more than sufficient for pendants, earrings, and occasional wear rings when set with protective designs. The color range of Sphene further enhances its potential. While the gemstone is known for yellow-green hues, fine specimens display rich, fern-like greens or golden tones that evoke sunlight through foliage. Some rare pieces even show a desirable chrome Sphene effect, intensifying the saturation and making the fire even more explosive. Compared to stones with similar optical impact, Sphene offers uniqueness rather than imitation. It does not resemble topaz, peridot, tourmaline, or any other green gem in a convincing way. Its look is standalone, an asset that the jewelry world increasingly values. What positions Sphene for significant appreciation in the next decade is the convergence of scarcity, beauty, and shifting taste. Global production of high-quality material remains extremely limited. The Madagascar deposits, once abundant, have become increasingly sporadic. Pakistan's high-altitude sources are difficult to access, restricting availability. As supply tightens, collectors who understand the gem's dispersion and rarity are securing top-grade pieces before prices rise. In the broader market, the appetite for unusual brilliance is growing. Sphene fits this movement perfectly. It embodies optical physics in its purest visual form. As designers incorporate more non-traditional gems and collectors pursue stones with uncommon personality, Sphene stands poised for a major reevaluation. With unmatched fire, rare color, and a supply unlikely to expand, Titanite represents one of the most compelling undervalued opportunities in the colored gemstone world. Radiant, rare, and ready for discovery in the decade ahead. Ranked 5th, Spinel, non-red, the quiet performer, finally stepping into the spotlight. Within the last decade, red Spinel has undergone a well-deserved transformation, from an overlooked ruby substitute to a prized gemstone in its own right. Yet while red varieties now command respect, the rest of the Spinel family remains strikingly undervalued. Blue, lavender, gray, and even cobalt-colored Spinels offer some of the finest hues in modern gemology, but still trade at a fraction of their potential value. This gap between intrinsic beauty and market price is central to why experts view non-red Spinel as one of the most promising gemstones of the coming decade. Spinel's appeal begins with its remarkable optical properties. The gem exhibits a crisp, high-reflective luster that gives properly cut stones a bright, glass-like surface, unmatched by many mid-tier colored stones. Unlike sapphire, which often requires heat treatment to enhance appearance, Spinel's colors are naturally vibrant. Clean crystals in blue, purplish blue, and steel gray tones possess a subtle luminosity that feels modern, understated, and refined, qualities increasingly favored in quiet luxury jewelry design. Among the non-red varieties, cobalt spinel is the standout. Its vivid royal blue coloration results from trace elements of cobalt, producing a hue unlike any other gemstone. True cobalt spinel is exceptionally rare, often found only in small crystal sizes, and remains severely undervalued considering its scarcity. Similarly, lavender spinel, found in Sri Lanka, Myanmar, and Tanzania, offers a dreamy, muted purple with a soothing aesthetic favored by collectors seeking soft, poetic color palettes. One reason these varieties remain affordable is simple historical overshadowing. For centuries, spinel was confused with ruby and sapphire due to its inclusion in royal regalia. When gemology advanced, the public viewed spinel as the imposter, despite its own mineralogical identity. Red spinel eventually broke free from this misconception, but non-red varieties never received the same corrective attention. As a result, blue, gray, and purple spinels stayed in niche circles rather than entering mainstream demand. Today's market, however, is shifting. Collectors are increasingly prioritizing untreated gems, and spinel is almost always free of enhancements. This places it in a rare category shared with only a handful of high-value stones. Furthermore, supply constraints are tightening. Myanmar, the historic source of some of the finest spinel, is exporting less. Meanwhile, East African sources, though rich, often produce quantities too limited to support long-term commercial demand. With rising interest in finite supply, pressure on prices is likely to build. Design trends in the U.S. also support spinel's upward trajectory. Non-red spinel fits this aesthetic perfectly. Elegant, calm, and deeply wearable. Its neutral to cool tones pair effortlessly with both vintage and contemporary designs, giving it lasting versatility in a market that increasingly values longevity. As collectors discover its authenticity, durability, and natural color integrity, non-red spinel stands ready for significant reevaluation. With strong fundamentals and a supply unlikely to expand, this quietly stunning gemstone is positioned to become one of the most important value climbers of the next decade. Ranked fourth, Prehnite, the soft green gem poised for a quiet rise. Prehnite is one of the most understated treasures in the gemstone world, a mineral whose gentle glow belies a depth of beauty that has yet to be fully appreciated. For decades, it remained confined to the shelves of mineral collectors, admired for its soothing color and translucent charm, but rarely considered a contender for fine jewelry. That perception is now beginning to shift. As market tastes evolve toward more natural, serene aesthetics, Prehnite stands at the threshold of significant revaluation. At its best, Prehnite exhibits a luminous, apple-green translucence, often described as jade-like light. Unlike bright, high-saturation gems, Prehnite expresses its character through softness rather than intensity. Its microcrystalline structure scatters light in a gentle, diffused manner, creating an inner glow that feels organic and calming. In many specimens, particularly those from Mali, South Africa, and Australia, this glow deepens into a milky radiance that evokes misty mornings, spring leaves, and the quiet renewal of nature. What sets Prehnite apart from other green gemstones is the emotional vocabulary it carries. Emerald speaks of luxury. Peridot speaks of summer brightness. Jade speaks of cultural heritage. Prehnite, however, speaks of tranquility, an increasingly valuable trait in modern jewelry design. Its cool, subdued green aligns perfectly with the rising trend of quiet luxury, where understated elegance is prized over bold display. Despite this appeal, Prehnite remains undervalued for several reasons. Historically, it was associated more with mineralogical curiosity than wearable gemstone material. Much early Prehnite was opaque or uneven in clarity, reinforcing the belief that it was better suited to specimen shelves than jewelry settings. Yet advances in sourcing and lapidary techniques have revealed a new generation of Prehnite, cleaner, brighter, and far more visually refined. High-grade material now supports cabochons, carvings, and even faceted stones with exceptional clarity. Prehnite's geological narrative also adds to its allure. Formed during low-grade metamorphism, it often emerges alongside zeolites, calcite, and epidote in pockets that require precise conditions to produce gem-quality material. These pockets are notoriously inconsistent. Some yield nothing of value, while others produce only a handful of top-grade pieces. This unpredictability limits the availability of high-end prehnite, creating a natural rarity that many casual buyers overlook. Market trends strongly favor its future growth. As consumers shift toward nature-inspired palettes and sustainable aesthetics, prehnite's soft green glow fits seamlessly into both minimalist and artisanal designs. Jewelers specializing in organic forms increasingly choose prehnite for its calming presence, while collectors appreciate its balance of affordability and uniqueness. With demand rising and fine material comparatively scarce, upward pressure on price appears inevitable. Prehnite represents a quiet kind of beauty, unforced, authentic, and deeply connected to the natural world. As the global market embraces gemstones with emotional depth and geological character, this soft green mineral is positioned to become one of the most meaningful value risers of the coming decade. Ranked third, rhodolite garnet, the rosy violet gem, finally emerging from the shadows. Rhodolite garnet occupies a rare position in the gemstone world, a gem of remarkable beauty, durability, and natural color that continues to be priced far below its true potential. While garnet is often perceived as a common mineral, rhodolite breaks every expectation associated with its broader family. Its refined palette of raspberry wine red and violet-infused tones offers a level of sophistication traditionally sought in far more expensive stones, yet the market has only begun to grasp its significance. The defining characteristic of rhodolite is its pure, untreated color. Unlike ruby, spinel, and sapphire, many of which undergo heat or diffusion treatments, rhodolite's hues emerge directly from its natural chemical composition. The mix of pyrope and almandine within the crystal creates a spectrum of pinkish red to plum violet shades that feel modern, elegant, and instantly distinctive. These sophisticated tones resonate strongly with contemporary American jewelry preferences, especially among buyers seeking understated luxury without excessive saturation. In addition to its color, rhodolite offers exceptional clarity and brilliance. High-quality material often displays a transparency uncommon in many mid-range red gemstones. When faceted, rhodolite responds with crisp internal reflections, giving it a bright, youthful energy that contrasts beautifully with the deeper gravitas of ruby. This clarity, combined with a hardness rating suitable for daily wear, positions rhodolite as one of the most practical yet underappreciated gems for fine jewelry. Its undervaluation stems largely from historical misconceptions. Garnet, as a category, has long been associated with inexpensive birthstone jewelry and industrial uses. This has obscured the fact that garnet is not a single stone, but a complex group of mineral species with dramatic differences in rarity. Rhodolite belongs to the most desirable end of the spectrum, cleaner, rarer, and more refined than most of its counterparts. Yet because it shares the garnet name, many buyers overlook its elevated status. Recent changes in gemstone fashion have created a new opportunity for rhodolite. The growing interest in romantic berry-tone color palettes, seen prominently in rose gold jewelry and vintage-inspired designs, aligns perfectly with rhodolite's natural hues. Jewelers in the US and Europe increasingly favor it for engagement rings, statement pieces, and artisanal settings where individuality is prized over brand-driven prestige. Supply dynamics also support its rise. High-quality rhodolite comes primarily from Tanzania, Mozambique, and Sri Lanka, and production is inconsistent. Fine stones over 2 carats with strong violet overtones are notably rare, creating a natural scarcity that the market has not fully priced in. As collectors begin to differentiate between standard garnet and premium varieties, rhodolite's position is strengthening rapidly. With its untreated color, wearable durability, and growing design relevance, rhodolite garnet stands on the threshold of a long-overdue market correction. Its combination of rarity, beauty, and historical misperception makes it one of the most compelling and undervalued gemstones, poised to gain significant appreciation over the next decade. Ranked second, natural zircon, The misunderstood gem, ready for a major comeback. Few gemstones suffer from a greater identity problem than natural zircon. For decades, its reputation has been overshadowed by an unfortunate similarity in name to cubic zirconia, the inexpensive synthetic diamond simulant. This confusion has clouded public perception, leaving one of Earth's oldest and most brilliant gemstones undervalued in a way that is unmatched across the gem market. Yet beneath this layer of misunderstanding lies a material with extraordinary optical qualities, deep geological significance, and a future that experts believe is poised for dramatic reevaluation. Natural zircon is renowned for its exceptional brilliance and fire. Its refractive index sits surprisingly close to diamond, giving the gem a lively sparkle that catches light with remarkable efficiency. In its finest forms, particularly the coveted electric blue or radiant golden hues, zircon displays dispersion strong enough to create vibrant flashes of color. Unlike synthetic alternatives, these effects are entirely natural, emerging from a crystal structure that has remained unchanged for millions, and in some cases, billions of years. What sets zircon apart from most gemstones is its geological heritage. Many zircon crystals rank among the oldest materials on Earth, with some specimens dated at over 4.3 billion years. This makes zircon not merely a gemstone, but a geological relic, an artifact from the earliest chapters of Earth's formation. Such provenance gives zircon a depth of narrative unmatched by nearly any other gem in the market. Yet this extraordinary fact remains largely unknown outside expert circles. Color variety further contributes to zircon's potential. Blue zircon, produced through gentle heating of brownish material, is among the most captivating blues in the gemstone world, offering clarity and brilliance that often surpass similarly priced stones. Meanwhile, natural golden, honey, and cinnamon-colored zircons retain increasing appeal among collectors who appreciate warm, sophisticated palettes. These colors complement modern jewelry trends, particularly as consumers gravitate toward earth-toned and vintage-inspired aesthetics. Despite its beauty and history, natural zircon remains undervalued largely due to public confusion. Many buyers assume zircon and cubic zirconia are related, overlooking the fact that one is a naturally occurring gemstone with ancient origins and the other is an inexpensive laboratory product. As educational content about gemstones becomes more widespread, especially through documentary-style media, the distinction is gaining clarity. Experts expect this improved understanding to be one of the strongest drivers of zircon's market correction over the next decade. Supply considerations also point toward rising value. High-quality zircon comes primarily from Cambodia, Sri Lanka, Tanzania, and Myanmar, with production experiencing fluctuations due to mining restrictions and shifting availability. Fine blue zircon over 3 carats is becoming notably scarce, and collectors are beginning to acquire premium specimens before prices adjust. With its unmatched geological story, diamond-like brilliance, and a growing recognition of its true identity, natural zircon stands on the brink of a long-awaited renaissance. As public understanding improves and supply tightens, this ancient gemstone is positioned to become one of the most significant and undervalued climbers in the coming decade. In first place, Chrysoprase, the quiet green treasure finally returning to its throne. Chrysoprase is one of those rare gemstones whose beauty is so immediate, so inherently calming, that it almost feels designed by intention rather than geology. Its luminous apple-green glow, a color once reserved for royalty, mystics, and ancient artisans, has captivated cultures for centuries. Yet in the modern gemstone market, Chrysoprase has long existed in an inexplicable state of undervaluation, overshadowed by more famous greens like jadeite and emerald. That era of quiet neglect, however, appears to be coming to an end. At its finest, Chrysoprase embodies a purity of color seldom found in the mineral world. This signature green, produced by trace amounts of nickel within its chalcedony structure, radiates not from the surface, but from deep within the stone. The effect is a diffused, almost ethereal glow, soft enough to feel serene, yet vivid enough to command attention. High-grade material displays a uniform translucence that recalls early spring light filtered through mist, a quality that designers describe as living jade's younger, brighter sibling. Historically, chrysoprase held far greater prestige than it does today. Ancient Greek texts mention it as a stone of significance, and European royalty of the 18th and 19th centuries valued it for its soothing elegance. Frederick the Great of Prussia adorned his palace with chrysoprase's architectural elements, believing the gem symbolized clarity of thought and enduring strength. These cultural associations linger quietly beneath the surface, waiting to be rediscovered. The modern undervaluation of chrysoprase is largely a consequence of shifting supply. For decades, the world relied heavily on deposits from Western Australia, where top-grade material, rich green, semi-translucent, and remarkably clean, was once plentiful. As those mines diminished, the stone gradually faded from mainstream attention. Lower-grade deposits in other regions filled the gap, but without the same quality, perception suffered. What many buyers still do not realize is that high-end chrysoprase is now considerably rarer than many premium gemstones already commanding far higher prices. This scarcity aligns perfectly with current aesthetic trends. The rise of quiet luxury, centered on authenticity, color harmony, and understated sophistication, has revived interest in natural greens. Unlike emerald, whose fractures and treatments create practical and ethical concerns, fine chrysoprase is both durable and almost always untreated. Jewelers increasingly prefer it for designs emphasizing purity of color and smooth sculptural forms. Among American consumers aged 30 to 65, its soft energy and visual serenity resonate deeply, creating emotional connection, a key driver of long-term value. Collectors have begun to notice. Top-quality stones from older Australian deposits now trade more competitively, and demand for vivid, pure apple green material is rising. With supply tightening and awareness expanding, experts widely predict an extended upward correction in price, one that brings chrysoprase closer to the status it historically held. Chrysoprase represents the convergence of beauty, heritage, rarity, and modern taste. Its glow is unmistakable, its history enduring, and its market position increasingly unsustainable. Among undervalued gemstones poised to rise in the coming decade, chrysoprase does not merely lead the list, it defines it. Some gemstones earn recognition the moment the world sees them. Others take years, sometimes generations, before their true worth becomes clear. The 10 stones in this countdown are still underestimated today, but the story of value is always changing. And for these gems, their next chapter may only just be beginning. If one of these stones surprised you, or if there's a gem you believe the world still overlooks, share it in the comments below. Your insight helps shape which stories we explore next. You've been watching Tops, where forgotten beauty, hidden rarity, and untold histories finally come to light. Until the next journey, stay curious,